Hey guys, welcome to Views from the Vault. It's your homie Leon here. We got a couple co-hosts, Pierre and Jason Mead. We have a very special show planned for today. We will be going under the cap with Efra from Chamuco's studio. So without further ado, let's get going.
Efra, it's a pleasure to have you on finally.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And I got to tell you, as we were kind of talking through this, and we had some stuff going out there showing that you were going to be on the show today. I got to tell you, there was such a warm welcome for you, and just people looking forward to seeing you here today. So it's really exciting. It's almost like I'm kind of a fanboy, so I'm gonna try to keep my excitement to myself as we chat. But listen, I love your stuff. I love your art. I can't get enough of it, and a lot of folks out there watching right now, I sure feel the same way. I'd love to help everyone out there get to know you a little better. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Efra, Efras Sanchez. Started Chamuco studio maybe 2010, 2011. Grew up in Texas from El Paso. The Diablos hat there. Moved out to LA 97. Been living here in LA since 97. Yeah, went to school for graphic design, studied graphic design, graduated in 97, moved out here, and I've been working, graphic design since then.
Yeah, so when did you first get into that? So like tell me, were you into art when you were young? Like how did this all start?
Yeah, being been drawing since I can remember. Just drawing, and I was into cartoons. I was into anything like that creative. I was into Disney.
Yeah.
And then just started drawing, got into it at school. Just went from there. I was always into like Disney advertising characters, things like that. So yeah, all of that kind of like funnels its way into my artwork nowadays.
So what were your favorite cartoons growing up?
My favorite one, the first one that I was really into was Speed Racer.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's like way back. I'm probably older than most of you guys there.
You're not older than me because I graduated 2 years before you.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm older than him too.
Were you? Yeah. So Speed Racer. What else?
Speed Racer.
What else?
Yeah, anything Hanna-Barbera. Grew up with that. Disney.
Yeah.
Disney cartoons. Yeah, and like advertising characters. I always liked, anything that involved, any of those characters. Even like Japanese culture, starting with Speed Racer. So any of those, like anything having to do with the Japanese animation, things like that.
Yeah, because it's kind of different how we consume, how kids consume cartoons now, right? Like back in the day, Saturday morning, I'd get up and I'd want to watch cartoons, right? I would get up real early, like 6 a.m. and just start watching. Now it's like YouTube and all this kind of stuff. So what do you find? I know you have a son. Is your son into cartoons as well? Is he kind of in that same place as you in terms of where you were at that age, or is it a little bit different?
Yeah, I would say he's probably the same. His skills are like way better than me at the same age. But yeah, he can't get enough. He's on YouTube. He's watching it on TV on demand. And I always tell him, we have to wait till Saturday morning to watch.
I know, man. That's how it was for us, right? It's like now it's at their fingertips all day long, but it's cool. So as a youngster, you're in the cartoons, and that kind of like influenced your art as you kind of move forward. But tell me about like as you moved along, you were heading towards college. Like, how did you evolve as an artist? Like, tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I was always into just pencil and paper, and that was like the first thing I started with and kind of stuck with this whole time.
Yeah.
And going through school, I tried printmaking, painting, all the just going through art classes, and but I always came back to pencil and paper. So once I hit college, majored in graphic design and tried everything, tried sculpture, painting, printmaking, all that. But I always kept coming back to pencil and paper. And once I graduated, it was like, I got into computers and I had to, graphic designer. So I kind of left it behind for a while and just kind of concentrate on the computer. But probably 2010, 2011, I just really got back into it. And these last 10 years, I've just been concentrating on building up that skill, my drawing skills.
So Efra, you're in the hats too, right? I mean, you may not have, quite the vault that Leon and I might have, but you're in the hats, and I know you're an Oakland A's fan growing up. So tell us how you got into, like, were you wearing hats at an early age? Like, when did you start getting into hats? And tell us a little bit about your love for the Oakland Athletics, because I didn't even know that this was basically based on Rickey Henderson. I didn't even know that. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, my dad came to California, and then he went back to Texas, and he brought me and my brother. He brought back it was a pennant for the Giants and one for Oakland, and the Giants was like black and orange. So my brother was like, "Hey, that one's cool," and I was like, "Man, green and gold." I was like, "That's for me." And ever since then, I've been an Oakland A's fan. And then probably around 1990, I want to say, I was in high school, probably my senior year in high school, and this new shop opened up at the local mall. It was called Pro Image, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and they were carrying the the Major League Baseball, the fitteds, the new era fitteds, and I was like, I got to see the whole, all the hats there.
Yeah.
That was like my first fitted. I picked up the Oakland A's. Yeah, from there on, it was just like I was a skater at the time, so skating out. I wish I would have kept it, but it got thrashed.
Yeah, no, I don't, like, someone asked me once, do I still have my first fitted? No, that thing's tore to hell. I don't know where that thing is. It's in a landfill somewhere. But who was your favorite Oakland Athletic player when you were growing up? Rickey Henderson or?
Yeah, Rickey Henderson. The Bash Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Those guys from that era. But yeah, that one, the base stealer, is just, that was always my favorite part of Rickey's game was, base stealing.
Oh man, he was one year he had like 135 stolen bases. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's
he's still number one.
Yeah. No one will ever break it. The game's changed a little bit, but there's two things about
teams don't even have 130 steals anymore.
Yeah, I think he broke the mold though, in terms of, like, he stole so successfully. Nowadays, players can't steal like that anyway, so they think it's statistically it's not the right thing to do. But Rickey Henderson broke the mold. The other person from the Athletics, listen, the guy's not a role model by any stretch of the imagination, but watching Jose Canseco's 40-40 season, I think that was 88, right? That was incredible. A guy that size stealing 40 bases and hitting 40 home runs was pretty impressive. But the Oakland Athletics, man, they were the team of the late 80s, early 90s, right? Yeah. So Efra, listen, so this all kind of converges, right? Because I noticed, like, some of your early designs with Hat Club, the recent ones, but the early, like, kind of when you start reignited out in the hat world, when I saw some of this stuff with Hat Club, had some stuff that you could tell was tied to Oakland Athletics, right?
Yeah, the first release, just with the little devil guy.
Yeah.
That one, they were like, well, let's,
that one right there, right?
Yeah, that one. They were like, they were like, if you already have a design ready to go, let's put it out there and see if people, respond to it. So I had the little guy. It was actually a baseball head.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram. I was going through your Instagram. I saw it was like a baseball with two little horns on it, right?
Yeah. So that one, and I sent it in, and MLB was like, no, it looks too much like Mr. Met. So the Hat Club was like, well, we either scrap it or do you want to rework it? And I was like, yeah, I'll rework it. Then that one came about. And being an Oakland A's fan, I was like, I got to do that colorway. That's got to be my first one. So
I missed that one. I missed that one, and I'm not too happy about it. But I know you missed the Oakland A's yellow pink bottom, the pink lemonade. So yeah. I guess we're even. Listen, do us a favor though, Efra, because what I'm most like curious about is your process. So would you mind taking everyone through your creative process, like how you kind of start from scratch and then end up with these beautiful designs?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have like a process or a way of doing things. It's just whatever inspires me. I like to just, I mean, we live in LA, so before the lockdown, we would just explore, the city, go everywhere. They say, you could travel the world without leaving LA, just because all the different areas of LA got, you could be in little Ethiopia and drive across town and you're like in little Saigon or whatever. So yeah, it's just anything that catches my eye. It usually rattles around in my head for a while, and after a while, I'm like, I'll come up with an idea, and then I'll start sketching. Usually a real rough thumbnail, and then it's usually pretty rough, and set it aside. Just kind of let it marinate for a while.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back to it, and I'll refine the sketch a little bit, and you get something more like this.
Ooh.
I clean it up, I straighten it out,
Yeah.
kind of work out proportions. And then from there, I take it to the computer. That's usually the last step, is the computer. And I've already got everything worked out, so it's really quick. Just trace everything, color it, and off it goes.
Wow. So like, it's different, right? Because when you're creating stuff for hats, you have to go about it differently than just a general sketch, right? Because I mean, for it to show up right on a hat, right, and the dimensions and whatnot, like are you taking that into account as you're creating? Like so like you kind of have different lanes you kind of jump into depending on what you're trying to create?
Yeah, for sure. You're looking at embroidery, so I mean, you want to stay away from thin lines. You want to stay away from gradients, things like that.
Yeah.
Kind of simplify things, kind of communicate the story. The logo is going to tell a story. Try to communicate that from like, 10, 15, 20 feet away.
Yeah.
Get into small details, those kind of get lost. So try to keep things simple, but still tell the story, which is like the most important part, I think, of the logo, is the story.
Yeah.
And I always try to put, several layers into my logos. Some people catch on to it, some people don't, but I think it's just like little, what do you call them, Easter eggs in there that people find.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. Leon talked a lot about that earlier. He was talking to me about, he loves how there's stories behind your designs. It's one of the things that he really enjoys. So tell us, like, so Clink Room, you've been associated with Clink Room, right? So now I just recently pre-ordered your most recent additions to the Clink Room, which obviously they're going to go into production. What you're creating is going to go into production, in my opinion, just because of the following and just how clean and how beautiful these things look. But tell us a little bit about your time with Clink Room in the past and what that's like now.
Yeah, I discovered them. I think the first year they launched, I think it was 2011, maybe 2012. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, at the time I was working as a designer, and I was doing a lot of like corporate type logos, the ones that get distilled into like, simple mark, some letters or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was doing that, and it was cool, and I just kind of like got tired of it. And so I started looking online for, other things out there, and I found the Clink Room, and they had just closed up one of their leagues, their contest. And I was like, oh man, this is so cool. It's like sports, it's logos, it's, the whole thing. And so I emailed Casey, and I'm like, hey, I just missed the deadline for this contest, but you think I could send something in? And he was like, hey, no, this is great. I sent him a couple of sketches, and he was like, we're going to keep it going. So there's another contest coming up. Just be ready. So I was like, all right, cool. And then the Reject League came up. And he was like, you guys, it was like rejected team names. So it could be, something crazy or whatever. But they always specified, the most important part of it is the story behind the logo.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. So that's when I came up with the base stealers. I was like, all right, I don't think anybody's ever done a base stealing logo. And how do I tell that story in the logo? So I came up with that one, and it won. I was one of the winners, and it started from there. That win got me some attention,
Yeah.
yeah, I went from there. I started doing a lot of freelance logos after that. And yeah, ever since then, that's been almost eight years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So before we get into Clink Room today, right? You know, it's interesting because that Bay Steelers logo, I remember, like, I think it was like 6 or 7 months ago, Baseballism had something that was almost a Bay Steeler type thing that had like a ghost stealing, right? Did you guys see that?
I didn't see that. I don't pay
No,
much
I think
attention.
I wonder if it took inspiration from this because this is such a cool logo. This is a pretty well known logo, you know. So I think it's got some effects out there that we may not even realize. But Efra, if you could do us a favor, now tell us a little bit about, like, you know, Clink Room now. Like, what does that relationship look like, and what are you working on now?
Yeah, so I got rebooted about a month ago. Yeah, you know, Casey, I've been working with the guys from Brandios for about 3 years now, and they were like, you know, we're thinking about bringing it back. You know, would you like to be part of it? And I was like, yeah. And I kind of gave them the idea. Let's do it on Instagram. Most designers are on Instagram. Nobody really blogs anymore that I know of. And everybody's kind of showing their work on Instagram. I go, and you know, I can help you guys out with that. And they were like, yeah. So they brought me onto the Clink team, and I help them out with some designer outreach. You know, if your design gets selected, I'm usually the guy who hits you up for your information. And yeah, so it's basically the same. We got the leagues. We got the Reject League, the Clink Kong League, and the Shadow League.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to expand it in the future. We'll see how it goes.
It's interesting because I think that whole custom thing is blowing up right now, right? Like for these type, it's blowing up. And I think, you know, Hat Club and now Clink Room and all this, it's just hitting a fever pitch right now. And I think people just want these things. And yours are really cool, man. Your designs are amongst my favorites. But I mean, I'm interested to see what comes next. So, you know, I'm sure we're all sitting on the edge of our seat.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that, you know. But you know,
speaking of what,
go ahead.
actually, speaking of what comes next, knowing you're in LA, Chris K, one of the biggest Angels fans we have, wants to know if you're gonna have any Dodgers inspired Chamuco hats coming out.
I tried and it got rejected. That's all I gotta say. And it was just based on LA colors, Dodger colors, and it was like, nope.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So I had to change it to I changed it to the Raider colors, and I changed it to the Laker colors.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What other questions were out there?
TJ loves your stuff. He wants more pissed off logos, less smiles. I can get the appeal. And then Ronald wants to know if there will be any upcoming pre-orders of previous Chamuco releases.
I leave that up to Hat Club.
Okay.
You know, they know better than me what sells and what sells better than other things.
Doing like any colorways of stuff, different colorways or variations of stuff you've done?
Well, right now that new era is not digitizing new logos. I got about 6 to 8 new ones just sitting with the Hat Club, waiting. But I've been recoloring a lot of my older logos. So
yeah,
the rest of the summer is going to be previous releases and new colorways.
Awesome.
So Efra, before we kind of wrap up and head into the weekend review, like what designers really inspire you? Like which folks around you like inspire you and you look up to, or perhaps just love being around?
You know, the guys at Brandios, Casey and Jason. I mean, in my opinion, the best in the business. Minor league baseball, they got it on lock, man. I don't think anybody else comes close to them. You know, guys like Danny, Dionic.
Yeah.
Been looked up to him for a long time. Great stuff. Yeah, I mean, you go on Instagram and it's just every day I find somebody new. So, yeah.
So Efra, tell us, what's your personal favorite logo that you've created, first, and then tell me a couple of logos out there that you didn't create that are amongst your favorites.
Base Steelers. That's always been my favorite.
Yeah.
Just because of the story behind it. The way it just communicates the story without even have to explain it, you know.
Right.
It's just everything wrapped into one logo, which I've always liked. That's my favorite one.
You want to show those? You want to show them? I know you have some there.
Yeah, I got the so the original.
Oh, that blue.
Blue under.
Oh, look at that. I
It's like a decade old blue. I see blue.
The old Clinkroom. The tag there too.
Oh wow.
And second release. I didn't like the white front panel, but I'm okay with it now.
You're okay with it now, right, Efra?
Yeah.
Jason loves white front panels.
Oh, really?
Always.
Yeah. Loves them.
This one, the new one. So
yeah,
3 versions, and I got one more coming up later this summer.
Ooh.
Little tidbit.
You got people already. Now people are already are waiting on that one. Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Kyoto Kaiju.
Yeah. Clinkroom release.
Clinkroom days too.
That's badass, man.
So can you re-release those logos now if you want to, or just Clinkroom own them?
Yeah, they control them. I signed them over to them. Yeah.
Okay.
So how about before because I think there's a couple other questions. What about
there's one yeah, oh yeah, there was one more question from Flip. He wants to know the story behind that Tiki release from was it late last year, earlier this year?
Oh yeah.
The Hawaiian. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the story behind that one?
Yeah, just an homage to you know, Hawaii. We've been there a few times. I loved it. I mean, paradise, you know. Yeah, just the homage to Hawaii, the Polynesian people. I know it caused somebody told me it caused a bit of a stir on Facebook. Fitted Hat Society.
Yeah, there's some people complaining about, they just like to complain. Ignore those people. It was a cool looking hat.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, just, you know, different inspirations. You know, I'm inspired by a lot of things. So yeah, definitely, yeah, just homage to Hawaii, Polynesian culture.
Nice. That's cool, Efra. So how about logos outside of your own that you really appreciate? Like maybe just a couple that you're like, all right, you know, these really to me are just outstanding.
When Brandios did the Casper Ghost, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one. That's, you know, always loved that one. What else? I guess the Washington Nationals, I think it was, I don't know who created it.
Sean McCarthy?
Maybe. The little swinging axe, George Washington.
Oh, the Frederick Nationals.
Yeah, the Fredericksburg
Nationals.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool logo too. Yeah.
Yeah.